Yes, welcome in everyone to the Full 10 Yards Betting Podcast. As you'll see, no Liam today. He is otherwise engaged. I'm not quite actually sure what Liam is doing, but he didn't specify. But because I don't know if he's going to see the Chiefs. Is it next Chiefs playing in Germany next week? I can't remember. There we go.
Yes, yeah, against the Dolphins.
Yeah, but he's got his picks in, so we'll go through some of his picks as well and pick them apart maybe because he's not here to defend himself, but someone who is here to defend themselves, Mr. Adam Wolford. How you doing?
I'm very good, thank you, mate. Yeah, just a bit of a mad rush today to get here, but all good and looking forward to previewing these ones. Obviously, a little bit weird that we've got a full slate this week after the bye weeks, but not complaining. And 5 o'clock kickoffs. Remember, 5 o'clock kickoffs. Clocks have gone back.
Yeah, set your lineups. Set your lineups. Get your bets in before 5 o'clock for Sunday. I just realised that the way my camera's working, it looks like I'm about to be siphoned up by some aliens, like in the middle of my roof. There we go. Fun times, but here we go. Let's see if we can sum up some winners. A quick look at last week. Was not a good week last week. Although I find it quite funny that Liam went three out of 6, and his profit and loss was minus a penny. So that amused. But yeah, there we go. Unless I got my calculations wrong, I don't know. But there we go. Obviously, as I say every week, room for improvement. But it's a free service. What do you expect? Yeah, we just have a bit of fun. Having a bit of fun indeed. But yeah, let's get into, as we always do, Thursday night football. Quite an interesting game, this one, especially with the way the Buffalo Bills have been playing very hot and cold, but they return to home comforts perhaps against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Another thing that I noticed this week, there's a hell of a lot of 8.5 lines, which is quite unusual. There must be, I literally think all of the primetime games, they are. All the primetime games are 8.5 from where I got all lines from. But anyway, yeah, Buffalo Bills are 8.5 point favourites at home, of course, against the Buccaneers. Over under 43.5. Should be an interesting game, Adam. I think I know Buffalo are at home, and everyone might be just, it's quite easy to think, this would be just the game where, the Bills will get right and, just show everyone kind of who they are. But I quite fancy the Buccaneers to stay within that.
I think it all depends on Baker Mayfield, doesn't it, really? Obviously, their running game doesn't really exist. The Bills' running game doesn't really exist recently. James Cook's obviously had a couple of good weeks, but he's not doing that much. And the Bucs do have still a good run defense. So, in theory, it should play into the hands of Josh Allen with the passing game. But he's been up and down this year. He's obviously carrying little niggly injuries like he generally is. So yeah, it'll be an interesting one. Yeah, I agree with you on that one. The Bills' defense has been beaten up. So they should be able to move the ball a little bit. Mike Evans obviously has formed a good connection with Mr. Mayfield. Godwin got a few receptions last week as well. They're quite shallow, but the studs are good for the Bucs. So it'll be interesting to see how they do. And yeah, for the Bills, obviously we know what the Bills are going to do. It'll be Stephon Diggs getting a load of targets, Gabe Davis getting the odd one, James Cook getting his rushing attempts, and hopefully, I say hopefully, I mean Dalton Kincaid got five or six receptions last week. With Dawson Knox out, he is the one I'm looking for in this one. I think he's going to have a coming out game, frankly. So it'll be interesting. But he's the man I'm looking for when I wake up in the morning for numbers and for how he does. He is 5-2 to score is the best price on BetVictor, who I don't like recommending because they're terrible. So 11-5 on Paddy Power is the best of non-terrible bookies.
Yeah, no, I do. I really do like that shout. Say over 2-1. I know he's kind of one that will go under the radar for a little bit, even if he does score a touchdown this week, perhaps. But I was trying to find what you mentioned there about the Bucs run defense. I can't find. I saw a note on Vita Vea. I can't remember what the note was, saying that he's maybe a game time decision or something like that. But I can't. I was trying to. Okay. That's why I was looking away. But I think there's something about Vita Vea that's not quite right or something, but yeah. So maybe you have checking on that if you're fancying the Bucs, because obviously him not being there will help James Cook and Latavius Murray or whatever in the run game, and Josh Allen as well. So I do like your Dalton Kincaid shout. What did I go for? I went for overs in this game. I know but the Bucks defense is also pretty decent in general compared to what we kind of thought it was going to be at the start of the season. I think there's enough there. There's enough star kind of talent on that team to kind of upset and disturb Josh Allen. I don't think it's just going to be that easy for Josh Allen. That's why I was quite surprised. I was expecting the line to be around 6.5 for the Bills, because like I say, they've thrown in more than one bad performance this season, so it's not as if like last week against they losing to the Patriots. Shouldn't be losing to the Patriots, especially with the defensive players that they've got out. But there's enough there for me to suggest, and it does depend on Baker Mayfield. And the last couple of weeks he's not been as good as he started the season really hot, didn't he? So it will be interesting to see if they can get Mike Evans and Chris Godwin going, because outside of that, there's not really Cade Otton going to get his 4 or 5 targets, receptions for 40 odd yards and move the odd chain here or there. But Rachaad White's not really getting much done, and then outside of that, you've not really got a lot for the Bucks. So it will pivot. It will depend on the pillars of Baker Mayfield and the 2 wide receivers. So I've seen somewhere that Chris Godwin's kind of having a Deontay Johnson kind of season, where he's got loads of receptions but not a lot, barely any. I don't think he's scored a touchdown this season, has he? So
I don't remember seeing his name.
No, so he's been going to Mike Evans for the most part. But I think it should be a good game. I'm not going to stay up for it because it's not worthy. I don't think it's necessarily worthy of staying up unless you've got the day off tomorrow. But it should be a fun game. Fancy the Bucks to cover. Give me the overs, and I do like you.
I will add in the Sky Bet boost as well. I do like that. Josh Allen 250 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns at 7-4. I think that's pretty generous. As I say, they're a pass funnel, so there should be a lot of passing going on. And Josh Allen, we know, is capable. So I thought new enough 2-1. I thought it was quite good.
Talking of capable, the Sunday Night Football, the LA Chargers are very much capable, but they're also capable of just not playing very well and just losing games. So they find themselves 8.5 point favourites against the Chicago Bears, who visit SoFi Stadium. Similar prices: 2-9 for the Chargers, 7-2 for the Bears. Over under here is at 46.5. Bagent, the backup quarterback for the Chicago Bears last week, acquitted himself more than well. Not to the point where we think it's going to be like a Dak Tony Romo taking over the starting job kind of situation, but nevertheless, it kind of gives you a bit more if you're an overbacker in this game that could. I thought he quit himself quite well, and at least gave me. But I know Donta Foreman had a humongous performance, but it gives you kind of a bit more optimism that the Bears will at least put some points on potentially a vulnerable Chargers team in general.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know whether I said on here or whether it was on my column, but I did say I thought Bagent played quite well in his first game, despite the fumble 6 on his first play. I thought he did quite well. And then obviously it showed it last week. He wasn't asked to do a whole lot. As you said, a lot was on Donta Foreman, but he did what he needed. He kept it safe, and that was all they needed to do last week against a terrible Raiders team. But this week against the Chargers, obviously, I had my rant about the Chargers last week, and then they went and got not blown out, but comfortably lost. It was a very strange game, that one. Obviously, all the points in the second quarter, and then not much else after it. By the Chiefs, which we knew would happen. So, this week they need to bounce back. They obviously have a much easier task this week, which is why it's 8.5 points. I don't think I could ever take them at 8.5 points. Not at 10-11 anyway. But I have gone a little bit crazy with my bet this week on this game, just for something a little bit outside the box. Chargers to win by 7-12 points is 7-2 on Paddy Power. Just like they should win by a touchdown. And because they're the Chargers, I don't think they'll win by much more than that. I think the Bears will score enough points. The Chargers will mess up enough that they'll keep it close. And it's another crappy game for Sunday night. And next weekend is a very good one for Sunday night. I just caught that. It was the Bills Bengals. We've got a good one next weekend. But this week not the best.
No, it isn't the best, but sometimes the ones that don't look the best. And I think Bagent and the Bears will be feisty enough to kind of make it intrigue. Like, it might not be the best quality game, but I think it'll be close enough throughout. Which is why I don't like taking the Bears even plus 8.5. I'd probably take them if you put a gun to my head here. And I've gone for overs. Again, I think there's enough points to be had on both sides. I think the Chargers, not necessarily saying they're flat track bullies or be up on the bad sides, but there's an opportunity there for the Chargers to get 30 points on the board at least. And I think the Bears will score enough because there's the fragilities there of the Chargers that will allow the Bears to do that as well. So, yeah, any particular touchdown scorers you like? Obviously, Austin Eckler didn't really return with much gung-ho last week. He's obviously well odds on anyway, but, Roschon Johnson might be an outside bet if, again, the bookies aren't really good on Thursdays to have touchdown scorers up. But if Roschon Johnson, he should be clear concussion protocol, so he might be a decent price. He might be a biggish price because he's, he probably won't be on the radars of the less sharper bookies. So you may get like a 4-5 to 1, 6 to 1 shot, and I would be all over that if that happens. But yeah, I'd say I think there'd be a fair few points, but quite a few touchdown scorers. But it's quite hard to kind of place. The longer odds guys, you've got like Parham and Everett, then they always seem to be a bit too short for my liking.
Yeah, Parham on Bet365 as well. I was just looking. He's 2 to 1, which is far too short.
Yeah.
Whereas Everett is the main tight end. He's 11 to 4. So if anything, I'd lean to Everett, who scored in each of the last 2 games. But yeah, annoyingly, as you say.
Have you got them up there? What's Josh Palmer?
Josh Palmer is even shorter, 2 to 1. Is probably not worth.
Well, he's getting quite a lot of the target share. I think he's like 30% target share since Mike Williams has gone down. So like 2 to 1 for that. And I say this is a team that the Chargers should be able to do whatever they really want to the Bears defense. So yeah.
And then the betting on the Bears is equally as weird. It's Mercedes Lewis is 9 to 1, Robert Tonyan's 10 to 1. Obviously, backups throw to the backups, so I guess that's why Mercedes Lewis is a shorter price. But I think they said last week it's 18 to 1. That makes a little bit more sense on Bet365. But yeah, obviously they said last week he's 39, so nearly my age and still going, which is fair play to him.
Yeah, just older than me. Jesus Christ, we're wasting our lives. What have we done with our lives? We're sitting here on a podcast and he's out on the. I mean, he's not getting a lot of money, but it'd be a lot more than we get for doing this, I suppose. But there we go. Never mind. Moving on. Monday Night Football. Again, there's that 8.5 points. The Detroit Lions at home are favoured by that many and they face the travelling Vegas Raiders. 3 to 1 for the Raiders on the money line if you're that way inclined. 45.5 is the total here. And Adam, after a shellacking the Baltimore Ravens game last week, obviously back at home comforts, Jared Goff and the Lions should, I think, cover that 8.5.
Yep, definitely agree with that. Yeah, they're the Dolphins. Well, I think we said last week they're the Dolphins of the NFC. I think we compared the 2 teams last week, and both of them failed against better opposition last week. But against poor opposition, they've been killing everyone. So yeah, winning by 2 touchdowns should be easy enough to do, frankly. Obviously, it would be nice if they can get Monty back. I can't remember what his status is for the game, but Jahmyr Gibbs did okay with the extra carries. He got a lot of receptions. Obviously, they're in catch up all game. So yeah, against a very, very poor Raiders team who should have Jimmy Garoppolo back, but I'm not sure that makes a whole lot of difference. Yeah, that they should win pretty comfortably, frankly. Yeah, like as you said, with the 8.5s, it is frankly it is a teaser week. So I do kind of get why one of the other podcasts I listen to, which is now just the let's call it a Ross T teaser podcast. We'll go with that. All he ever does is bet teasers, and this week he had 7 or 8, and I get why he does it, but it's not betting advice. It's just a little bit boring because he's just going to pick every single one teaser and go for all of them. But yeah, frankly, bringing the Lions down to 2.5 is money in the bank, really. So yeah, I think that they'll stuff them. I think they'll cover by 4 or 5 points at least. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, there's enough threat on the other side with Adams, Jacobs, and Jacoby Myers. That, yeah, and they get things. Michael Meyer and Johnny Smith, Austin Hooper, isn't it? That they sometimes get involved. There's enough there
Hmm.
for the Raiders maybe to get 14, 17, maybe even 20 points or something. So I'll take the overs, but yeah, I would definitely take the Lions on the handicap. And I know you mentioned there, but obviously Jamal Gibbs got a lot of catches because obviously they didn't catch up. I don't know the price of Craig Reynolds. I don't even know if the prices are up yet, but Craig Reynolds maybe in a more positive game script may get a few more runs. But I'd only be taking him if he's north of like 3-4 to 1. To be honest, I don't think he will be. I think he'll be
Seven
less
to
than two
four.
to one. Yeah, he'll be less than 2-1. But so I wouldn't be
Yeah.
backing. I wouldn't be backing that. But so the one thing to note, obviously Marvin Jones. I know he's not necessarily a key player of the line, but obviously he's stepped away from the team for family issues. So you
Mm.
may I don't know what prices have you got there, Adam, on Jameson Williams at any time.
Jameson 10-3.
Yeah, that's not too bad.
Um,
So, like I say, it just means that Jameson Williams might
Let me
get a
double
few more
check.
snaps because I know Marvin Jones gets trotted out there 40% of the time. So, yeah,
Mm.
Jameson Williams might be one at a decent price, and I think it might be just the type of game where he kind of gets one. So, if you want an alternative to like a short price Gibbs or a short price, what price is Laporta?
15-8, 7-4-ish. So yeah,
That's
it's
not too bad. Yeah,
frankly, yeah, that's where I'd expect him. I'd expect him one of them two. 365 is listing David Montgomery as 8-15.
yeah. No, well, he's
Whereas
expected to be out till after the buy. So, yeah,
yeah, William Hill 11-20 for Jameer Gibbs. Bet 365 5-6. So I guess if
that's
you
not
want
too
a
bad.
bit of value, get in before 365 realise that Monty's
Monty's
not
not
playing.
there. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Lovely stuff. Right, there we go then.
We
Let's
should probably mention we'll mention Liam's as well. Liam's has gone for Bills win and 42 points, 5-4 on I assume Sky Bet for Thursday night. He's gone for Chargers minus 8.5, which I think yeah, which is he's the only one who's confident enough that his divisional rivals will do that. And then he's gone for Lions over 26.5 points on Monday night, which, as we've said, that should be well within the realms of possibility for the Lions, who have been killing all the poor teams have been playing.
Yeah, I was getting to Adam. You don't have any faith in me. No faith.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I kind of forgot that you do the little sheet with everything.
Yeah, mate. If you want the captain seat, you can more than have it next week. But yeah, let's recap. Let's recap the Thursday night, Sunday night, and Monday football games. I'm checking. Yeah, as you can see there on the screen, if you're watching on YouTube, over 43.5 points for me on Thursday night football. Kincaid anytime touchdown scorer for Adam. Sunday night football, over 46.5 points for me. LA Chargers between 7 and 12 points for Adam. And then Detroit Monday night football, me and Adam both minus 8.5 there for the Lions. Okay, as we always do, let's get into the Sunday games then. If you are watching on the video on the YouTube or wherever, they are scrolling along the bottom. Adam, your thoughts on the handicaps for this week?
Yeah, me and Liam have picked the same one. It's the Texans. They're only minus 2.5 or minus 3, depending what time you got on, against the Panthers. And for me, I don't know about Liam. He's me and him weirdly seem to be in lockstep with a lot of bets this year. So I'll speak for him as well in the fact that the Panthers are the worst team in the league by quite a considerable distance, and I just don't see how they're going to put up enough points. Obviously, they took the lead against the Dolphins the other week, and then fell apart. But yeah, there's two rookie quarterbacks here, and arguably they should be on the opposite teams. Like from what we've seen so far, CJ Stroud should have gone one, which would have been the Panthers, but they took Bryce Young, and yeah, I don't. I think it's going to be a tough off season for him because he's going to have to bulk up. He's going to have to get a lot bigger, which is going to be tough. Obviously, he doesn't have a whole lot around him, which is not his problem. But you'd imagine that eventually some team's going to just figure out to double Adam Thielen, and then I don't know what the Panthers have got, frankly. Whereas the Texans, obviously they've been moving the ball well. CJ Stroud's been great. Tank Dell is a guy that me and you have both been quite interested in this week. I know you traded for him in fantasy, and I've been looking at him all over the shop. Nico Collins obviously has been good, and Dalton Schultz has been a reliable target for them as well. And then on the ground, they've been giving Devin Singletary quite a lot of work alongside Damian Pierce. So I just think like if you get under 3 points for the Texans, then I think that's a cracking bet. And yeah, other than that, I was actually interested in my Bengals at +5.5. When they were playing Brock Purdy, I was quite confident in them confusing the hell out of him and shutting down a system quarterback fairly easily. But with Darnold in there now, it's all kind of mixed up and muddled a bit. Probably in there. Obviously, we don't know entirely, but all the signs point to Brock Purdy being out. So the line's dropped by 2 points. And yeah, I can't really take Bengals +3.5. Coming off their bye week. Other than that, I didn't. I'll be honest. I've been struggling with spreads all year, and yeah, there wasn't a whole lot. I think the Saints -1.5 was just flashing through against the Colts. I think they should be able to do that with the defense they've got. They should be able to slow down Gardner Minshew and the boys. And yeah, I was going to say take the Steelers getting points at home, but things have to even out eventually for the Steelers, and I think the Jags under 3 points again is a decent enough price.
Yeah, a couple of stick out for me. I do like the Houston one. I don't really understand why Denver are less than a touchdown underdog at home against Kansas City. I know it's in Denver, but Denver are crap. So yeah, getting 6.5, getting a touchdown there for Kansas City, who can just demolish them in a half. Because I don't even necessarily think there's a backdoor cover there with a 6.5, but KC was the one that stuck out to me there. Philadelphia, common theme for this week, for this podcast. Philadelphia on the handicap for me, 6.5 again against Washington. Again, I know Washington play Philadelphia quite hard, but I think the Philadelphia performance against Miami was a bit of a statement towards the end, and maybe just to kick on. Hopefully, it's not a bit of a letdown, or it's not kind of let your guard down a little bit, because I say Washington do play Philadelphia quite hard. They handed them their first loss last season, didn't they? If my memory serves me correctly. But Philadelphia are more than a touchdown better than the Washington Commanders. So those two 6.5. And again, if you want to tease it down to 0.5 and just essentially have a money line double there if you want to kind of do it that way as well. So those were the two that kind of stuck out to me as well. And similar to Arizona +8.5. I think Baltimore on paper should absolutely demolish Arizona, but again, it could be a bit of a letdown after such a huge performance against Detroit last week. So I'm kind of going to leave that one alone. But if you want to tease that down to 2.5, Baltimore by a field goal, maybe do all three as a teaser, a 6-point teaser, and see kind of what that comes out as. So yeah, those are the kind of three that I looked at. I'm quite confident in all three of those, and plus the Houston one as well. So I might have a little look and see what that fourfold teaser maybe looks like. But yeah, we shall see. Right, you covered Adam, you covered Liam because he's the same as you. So there we go.
Yeah,
moving.
Yeah, same again.
Yeah, so we can move it swiftly on then to totals. What do you like total wise?
Yeah, obviously you put it in our group chat that the highest total was what, 46.5 this week, I think you said?
Yeah, 46.5 for
Which
highest total. And again, there's a hell of a lot of 34.5 is where bad weather aside, 34.5 in the Tennessee Atlanta game. That's one of the lowest ones I've seen for a while.
Yeah, that one annoyingly is the one that you're going to show up on the graphics for me in a minute. I did do under 36 because it's Will Levis or Malik Willis for the Titans, and even with Derrick Henry getting all the touches, I don't see how they're going to score more than 10, 13, 14 points. And then the Falcons, obviously, the Titans have got a very good defense. And Desmond Ridder, you just never know how he's going to play. Obviously, I'm not going to say he gave the game away last. Well, they won last week, didn't they, on the road in Tampa, didn't they? Yeah, their defense came up well against the Bucks last week, but yeah, obviously Desmond Ridder, you just don't know what you're going to get out of him, and it could easily be 2-3 interceptions again. They will get pressure on him, so it could be fumbles as well. So yeah, I did put under 36 points in that game. I am already starting to regret that because it sounds horrible saying it out loud. So yeah, I guess under 43.5 in the Bengals 49ers game. But again, I didn't go for that because Bengals 49ers a few years back in Cincinnati was an overtime game. It went really high scoring. So yeah, there's a chance that game could be very high scoring, especially with Burrow coming back after the bye week, a little bit more rested up, and T Higgins, I'd imagine, will be looking a little bit better in his. It is his free agency year, so generally players have blow up years in a free agency year, but obviously that has not been the case so far for T Higgins, who's had a bit of a nightmare, but he'll get there eventually. So yeah, that's I guess the only other one I would have a little nudge towards, but it's tough to not say that overs are the bets to make this week with all the scores so low, but
Yeah,
there
yeah,
just
yeah.
wasn't anything that convinced me.
No, it does. It's certainly when you've got the highest one at 46.5 and there's a lot of 30s, you just think there's got to be points from somewhere, or you just you kind of trying to, because we've had so many points for so many years now and like reverting to type, you just think, oh, like, this doesn't look right. It must all be overs. But yeah. Hi Liam, how you doing? What handsome Joe? Yeah, I know. There we
Assume
go.
he means the picture of him and someone else, but
Yeah, exactly. I went overs. I went overs in the Dallas Rams game. I think the Rams are good enough to, especially over the middle, to pick apart Dallas with Nakua and Cup. Don't necessarily need to run the ball because you can't really. It's quite hard to run the ball against Dallas, but I think it's going to be just one of those little crazy games where it's just 100 miles per hour. I know Dallas have slowed their pace down quite a lot, and that might suit the Rams a little bit if they want to try and do a bit of a smash and grab. But I think that kind of the offenses will kind of get their way a little bit with the defenses. I know Dallas have just had their bye as well, but I just think Dallas will come out and score quite a lot of points, and I think that the Rams will have an opportunity. Well, they have the ability to score quite a lot of points, and they've shown it on multiple occasions. So I think 45.5. I think it's not necessarily. I think that's kind of sitting on the fence a little bit for the bookies because mid 40s is just like, just take your pick and see what do you fancy type of line, and I just think this will go into the 50s. So I think that was a couple of points maybe too short. A couple of other ones, if I quickly have a look what's going around. Again, I didn't really fancy anything. The 37, anything that's in the 30s, you kind of look at and say, okay, right, can both teams get to 20, or can the team get to late 30 or something like that? And I don't really fancy any of those teams to do so, to be quite honest. So I can't really sit here and say, I fancy, kind of overs on any that start with a 3. So let's see what else we've got here. I think maybe
Cleveland.
no, I'd go unders there probably. But I went to Cleveland. We went to Cleveland
Scores.
unders last week, and that was done by halftime. So
exactly.
Denver KC under 45.5 potentially. I don't really. Kansas City's defense is really good, and they could limit Denver to 10, 14 points. But the problem is you've got Kansas who could put up 30, 40 points on Denver because Denver's defense, although they've played tough last couple of weeks. So I'll probably go unders there.
Yeah. Surely after watching last week, they know that Kelsey's just going to run 12 yards and then turn around. The Chargers were absolutely hideous in that first half. I just don't know how they did not figure out that's all he was doing. Every catch he made was 2 yards past the line, to gain. It was ridiculous. It was almost like the league want Kelsey to do really well.
Yeah,
with Travis Swift.
Wonder why.
Taylor Swift in there. Yeah,
wonder why that is.
Strange that.
Yeah, I'd probably go under. Maybe unders in the New York Bowl. Giants defense has been all right last couple of weeks, and I know the Jets could put up a lot of points. Well, not a lot of points, but 20 odd points or whatever. But I'd probably be fairly comfortable with going maybe knock it up a couple of points and take a bit of a shorter price and go unders on that one. But yeah, outside of that, it's not really anything appealing. Maybe unders in the New Orleans game because Derek Carr and the Saints have not looked good last couple of weeks either. So. Maybe unders in that one as well. Indianapolis, New Orleans, 43.5.
Yeah, so that's the thing. The low totals, and we're still leaning under on everything. It's just just the way this season seems to be. Packers Vikings over 41.5 is one over. I would probably have a little look at.
Stokes and Savage have gone on IR, haven't they? I think for Green Bay, so that could be a bit of a shootout. Yeah.
I think Addison got knocked up a bit, banged up a little bit at the end of last week though. So obviously have a nose at that because if they've lost Addison as well, they're down to KJ Osborne really. But unfortunately, it's probably going to be a fairly low scoring week, which for me me especially, but as a touchdown better, it makes things quite tough.
Oh, great segue. Touchdown better, love it. Let's round off then again. As I say, not really much in the way of bookies setting up touchdown scorers, but one I quite like is Isaiah Pacheco. I don't know if we've got a price for him yet anywhere. But so of course we'll go.
365 will probably have one.
Yeah, okay. Well, you have a look at that, and I'll also say just keep an eye out on it's Jonnu Smith and Marquise Brown revenge games against obviously Atlanta versus Tennessee and Arizona against Baltimore, respectively. So I would also keep an eye out on Jalen Waddle because with the Tyreek Hill news, if he's down, you could probably get a slightly inflated or value bet on Jalen Waddle, who's been a bit better the last couple of weeks compared to the start of the season, and then also with Cleveland. I think I don't know if Jerome Ford's officially been ruled out by everyone, but he's going to miss a couple of weeks according to reporters. So Kareem Hunt could be mispriced maybe if he's slightly inflated around 15, 17, 74, 15 to 8 to 1 area. That could be a decent bit of value, especially for maybe 2+ as well. But those are the kind of ones that I'm trying to keep an eye on.
365 doesn't look like they're listing Jerome Ford, so looks like they've had the news on that one. Pacheco is 20 to 21 on Bet365. Kelsey's 10 to 11 on William Hill, and I seem to think that he always scores in Denver. So that's one I would probably be looking at.
Is that before or after the game with Taylor Swift, though?
Hey, who knows? Maybe a bit of both.
You were so disappointed in that joke.
You love your puns. I know. I should be a little bit more appreciative because I know they're going to keep coming. So yeah. My one for this week, I've gone for Tank Dell. Obviously, I mentioned him earlier. He's coming off concussion. The game before the concussion, he had 3 catches for 66 yards or something like that in the first quarter. And then obviously missed the rest of the game. Him and Nico Collins seem to alternate who has the big weeks. And yeah, I thought 9 to 4 for Tank Dell. I think I did find it a little bit of a... Oh, and then Dalton Schultz was the other one. As I say, I do not rate this Panthers team at all. I think they're probably the worst team in the league. Well, I mean, their record shows they're the worst team in the league. But yeah, Dalton Schultz 5 to 2, I thought was a decent price as well. Because one of them, I'm fairly sure, will score in that game. It's just trying to pick the right one. But yeah, Tank Dell is my official play. And yeah. It's a strange one for Liam to pick. He always
I'm not going to spend more than 5 seconds on it. So I'm just going to round off, and you can just see it on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. So handicaps: Philadelphia -6.5 for me. Adam and Liam have gone Houston -2.5 for our totals. Over 45.5 Dallas LA Rams. And well, you can see the different lines there. But it's 34.5 at the moment. But when Adam did it, it's under 36. But under 36 for Adam and over 34.5 for Liam on the Atlanta-Houston game. And then touchdown scorers, I haven't changed Kenneth Walker. That should be Isaiah Pacheco. He let me down last week, Kenneth Walker, so thank you for that. And then Tank Dell for Adam and Nicole Hardman for some reason for Liam, because he likes to...
In fairness, he's 5 to 1. I didn't think he'd be that big odds, to be fair. So, yeah, 5 to 1, I don't mind it as much as I did when I saw it.
No, just no. Anyway, that's on that note, we will get out of here. Thank you, Adam, for your time as always on a Thursday. Good luck with all your bets, everyone. Make sure you do gamble responsibly, and we'll be back next week to go 5 o'clock this week. Yeah, 5 o'clock this week. Get your lineup set, get your bets on. Good luck, gamble responsibly. We'll see you next week.